Have you ever felt like you were invisible in your own family? Like the people who were supposed to love you most chose someone else over you? I'm talking about the kind of heartbreak that cuts so deep, it makes you question if you're even worth loving. That's exactly what I went through when my parents brought home an adopted child and, bit by bit, made it clear that he was their priority, leaving me, their biological son, feeling like a stranger in my own home. This isn't just a story about jealousy or family drama. It's a raw, emotional ride through rejection, self-doubt, and the desperate fight to find my own worth. Stick with me as I unpack the pain of being sidelined by my own blood, the memories of a childhood I thought was mine, and the shocking truth that flipped my perspective on everything. I'm still figuring out how to heal, and I need your thoughts on what comes next. Let's dive into one of the hardest chapters of my life, my journey to love myself when my family didn't seem to. My name's Caleb, and I'm 29 now, living in a small rental house in Portland, Oregon, where the rainy days and lush greenery of the Pacific Northwest feel like a fitting backdrop to the storm I've weathered. This story stretches from 2005 to 2023, starting when I was just 11 years old, a scrawny kid with big dreams, and centers on the devastating shift in my family when my parents adopted my younger brother, Noah, in 2007. The emotional conflict tearing me apart is the clash between the deep love I wanted to feel for my new brother and the suffocating resentment that grew as I watched my parents pour their attention into him, leaving me feeling like an afterthought. The unexpected twist came in 2019 when I discovered that my parents' favoritism wasn't just random. It stemmed from their guilt over a secret they'd kept about Noah's past, a revelation that forced me to rethink everything I'd felt. This all unfolds in Portland, a city of quirky charm and drizzly introspection, where the misty forests and bustling coffee shops became both my escape and the stage for my struggle to find my place. Growing up in Portland, I had what I thought was a pretty normal childhood in the early 2000s, living in a cozy house in the Hawthorne district with my parents, both teachers who loved taking me on weekend trips to Forest Park to hike among the towering Douglas firs. I'd race ahead on the trails, my sneakers muddy, feeling like the king of the world with mom and dad cheering me on, snapping photos of me grinning by the witch's castle ruins. I was their only child, their little explorer, and I soaked up every bit of their attention, whether we were browsing Powell's books downtown or baking lopsided cookies in our cramped kitchen. Now, as I sit in my quiet living room, rain tapping against the window and the distant hum of the city outside, I can't help but ache for those simpler days before everything changed, before I became invisible. The shift started in 2007, a gray Portland winter when I was 13, and my parents sat me down on our worn-out couch to announce they were adopting a 5-year-old boy named Noah. I remember the flicker of excitement I felt at first. Finally, a little brother to play with, someone to share my comic book collection with or teach how to ride a bike down our hilly street. They explained he'd had a rough start, coming from a foster home, and needed extra love, which I thought I could give. But when Noah arrived, with his wide, wary eyes and quiet demeanor, I quickly noticed how mom and dad hovered over him, canceling our usual Saturday hikes to stay home with him, praising every tiny thing he did, while my report card of straight A's barely got a nod. I'd lie awake in my room, the rain drumming outside, feeling this bitter knot in my chest, wondering why I wasn't enough anymore. By 2008, the favoritism was undeniable, and I started pulling away, spending more time at school or with friends in the Alberta Arts District, sketching graffiti ideas on notebooks instead of joining family dinners where Noah's every word seemed to light up my parents' faces. I remember one rainy evening, coming home soaked from a bike ride to find them helping Noah with a school project, glitter and glue everywhere, while my own art portfolio sat untouched on the counter. I didn't say anything, just grabbed a snack and retreated to my room, the ache of being overlooked growing heavier, like the fog rolling in over the Willamette River. Portland's endless drizzle felt like it was seeping into my bones, mirroring the coldness I felt at home. Through 2009 and into 2010, as I hit high school, the gap widened, and I threw myself into extracurriculars, joining the art club, staying late to paint murals for school events. Anything to avoid the house where Noah's needs always came first. My parents missed my first art show because Noah had a minor cold, and I stood alone in the gym, surrounded by my classmates' families, staring at my canvas of a stormy Columbia Gorge, feeling like that storm was inside me. I'd walk home through southeast Portland, past quirky shops and food carts, wrestling with guilt for resenting a kid who'd done nothing wrong, yet unable to shake the hurt of being pushed aside. The city's vibrant weirdness, street performers, neon signs, felt like a world I didn't belong to anymore, not at home, not anywhere. By 2011, I was 17, angry and withdrawn, my grades slipping as I spent more time doodling in notebooks than studying, my dreams of art school fading under the weight of feeling unseen. I'd overhear Mom and Dad talking about Noah's therapy sessions, his progress, his little victories, while my own struggles, like the panic attacks I started having before exams, went unnoticed. I'd escape to Washington Park, sitting by the rose garden with my sketchpad, the scent of blooms heavy in the air, wondering if I was selfish for wanting their attention or if I'd just been replaced. Portland's beauty, with its bridges arching over misty rivers, felt like a cruel contrast to the ugliness of my jealousy, a feeling I hated but couldn't escape. The pain deepened in 2012, my senior year, when I barely graduated, scraping by with CS while my parents threw a huge party for Noah's first straight-A report card in elementary school. I stood in the backyard, fairy lights twinkling above, watching them beam as they cut his cake, and felt this hollow ache, like I was a ghost at my own family's celebration. I moved out that summer, crashing on a friend's couch in Northeast Portland, taking odd jobs at coffee shops like Stumptown, trying to save for community college while avoiding home. I'd walk along Mississippi Avenue, the hipster buzz a distraction, questioning if I'd ever mattered to them, or if Noah's arrival had erased me from their hearts. The city's rainy nights became my companion, each drop a reminder of the tears I wouldn't let fall. Through 2013 and 2014, I distanced myself further, enrolling in Portland Community College for graphic design, scraping by on loans and late-night barista shifts, barely speaking to my parents except for stiff holiday calls. I'd hear updates about Noah, how he'd joined soccer, how Dad coached his team, through Mom's occasional texts, each one a small stab, reminding me of the family moments I'd missed out on or been excluded from. I'd sit in tiny diners near campus, rain streaking the windows, sketching logos while wrestling with the longing to reconnect, balanced against the fear of being hurt again. Portland's gray skies felt like they were pressing down on me, a weight as heavy as the silence between me and my family. By 2015, I was 21, living in a cheap studio near Division Street, my life a grind of classes and work, with little room for the family drama I'd left behind, though the ache never fully faded. I started dating casually, but every relationship fizzled. How could I open up when I didn't even feel lovable to my own parents? I'd spend weekends at local art markets, selling prints of my designs, the chatter of customers a brief escape from memories of Mom and Dad missing my milestones. I'd walk along the East Bank Esplanade, the river glinting under overcast skies, wondering if I'd built this wall too high, or if it was the only thing keeping me sane. Portland's eclectic vibe, food trucks, indie bands, felt like a life I was watching, not living, still haunted by rejection. The hurt lingered into 2016 and 2017 as I graduated with an associate's degree and landed freelance design gigs, slowly building a portfolio while keeping my family at arm's length. I'd see posts online, Mom sharing photos of Noah at middle school events, and feel this mix of nostalgia and bitterness, remembering when I was the kid they bragged about. I moved to a slightly better apartment in Selwood, spending quiet nights with takeout and Netflix, avoiding family gatherings, though each holiday alone stung more than the last. I'd bike along the Springwater corridor, the green tunnel of trees a brief solace, questioning if I'd let resentment define me, or if I had a right to guard my heart. Portland's damp winters mirrored my mood, a chill I couldn't shake. By 2018, I was 24, starting to find my footing with steady design clients, though the void of family connection gnawed at me, especially on rainy nights when I'd scroll through old photos, me and Dad at the Oregon Zoo, Mom reading to me, wondering where that love went. I started therapy, a small step, sitting in a cramped office near Pioneer Square, unpacking years of feeling second best, though I wasn't ready to face my parents yet. I'd wander through the Saturday market, the bustle of artisans and street food a distraction, wrestling with whether I'd been too hard on Noah, a kid who never asked for this, or if my pain was still valid. Portland's bridges, lit up at night, felt like paths I hadn't crossed, connections I wasn't sure I could rebuild. The unexpected twist came in late 2019, during a rare Thanksgiving visit to my parents' house after years of avoidance, when Portland's streets were slick with rain and holiday lights glowed through the haze. I'd gone reluctantly, craving some closure, and while helping Mom clear dishes in the familiar kitchen, she let slip a truth that rocked me. They'd overcompensated with Noah because they knew his biological mother had passed away just before the adoption, a loss they felt guilty about, driving them to make up for it by giving him everything, often at my expense. I stood there, dish towel in hand, the weight of it sinking in, not just neglect, but a secret grief they'd carried, a reason that didn't excuse the hurt but explained it. The city's holiday cheer outside felt distant as I processed this, a mix of relief and fresh pain stirring in me. That revelation haunted me through 2020 as the world shut down and Portland's streets emptied, leaving me alone with my thoughts in my apartment, rain endless against the windows. I'd replay Mom's words, wondering if I'd misjudged their intentions or if understanding their guilt changed nothing about my scars. My design work became my anchor, late-night projects keeping me sane, though every quiet moment brought back the image of Noah as a scared 5-year-old, not the rival I'd made him. I'd stare out at the foggy skyline from my window, questioning if I could forgive them for choosing his pain over mine, or if I'd always feel like the leftover child. Portland's lockdown silence forced me to sit with this new truth, a puzzle I couldn't solve. By 2021, as the city crept back to life, I started rebuilding myself, taking on bigger design contracts and joining a local artist co-op, finding a small community that felt like the family I'd lost. I'd spend evenings at gallery openings downtown, sipping cheap wine, feeling a flicker of pride in my work, though Noah's face, now a teenager in photos I'd glimpse online, still tugged at me. I didn't reach out, too raw from the truth, though I'd hear bits about my parents' lives through mutual contacts. I'd sit at Tom McCall Waterfront Park, watching the river flow, wondering if they regretted sidelining me, or if they thought I'd moved on. Portland's tentative recovery mirrored my own, a slow thaw of the ice around my heart. The emotional toll lingered into 2022. As my career grew, I landed a steady gig with a local agency, though success felt hollow without roots to share it with. Portland's mild winters came and went, but my mood stayed heavy as I avoided my old neighborhood, unable to face those streets without the sting of old memories. I'd spend quiet nights sketching, the city's hum outside a faint comfort, wondering if I'd been too stubborn in staying away, or if I needed this distance to heal. I started hiking again, revisiting Forest Park trails alone, the solitude a mirror to my own, though every step made me question if I was running from them, or from the guilt of not trying harder to reconnect. Reflecting on this journey through early 2023, I spent time at Multnomah Falls, a short drive from Portland, the cascading water a contrast to the stillness inside me, thinking about how my parents' choice had nearly broken my sense of worth, and how their secret reshaped my resentment into something more complex. I'd recall the early days before Noah, so full of belonging, now shadowed by years of feeling erased, wondering if I'd been too quick to withdraw, or if I'd waited too long to seek answers. I thought about my childhood, how I'd craved their pride, questioning if I'd ignored their struggles, or if I'd been too hurt to see beyond my own pain. I'd sit by the falls, the mist cool on my face, asking if I could rebuild trust, or if some wounds stayed open. By mid-2023, my career was stable, with a portfolio I was proud of and a small circle of friends from the art scene, though my family's absence loomed like a missing piece. I celebrated wins, landing a major branding project, exhibiting at a local gallery, though I did it without them, a void I felt even as I smiled at openings. I started visiting old spots again, like Powell's books, the endless shelves stirring memories of childhood trips with Mom, wondering if they'd heard about my new life, or if they were too wrapped in theirs to care. Portland's endless summer drizzle felt like it was testing my resolve, pushing me to decide if I'd reach out, or keep building this life on my own terms, no matter the cost. The emotional weight of this unresolved pain persisted. Even as my days filled with purpose, each memory of being sidelined a reminder of how much I'd lost, and how much I still yearned for connection. I'd spend late nights in my studio space, the hum of the city mixing with rain, wondering if I'd let this distance grow too wide, or if it was the only way I'd found myself. I started avoiding their old neighborhood near Hawthorne, unable to face those streets without feeling the old hurt flare, though every detour made me question if I was running from them, or from my own longing to reconnect. I'd take long walks along the riverfront, the city lights trailing behind me, asking if I'd been too hard on them after learning their truth, or if some wounds were just too heavy to lift. Reflecting on my past became a constant loop through the fall of 2023, especially on quiet evenings when I'd sit in my apartment, designs scattered, thinking about the family who'd once been my everything. I'd recall the time we camped at Tillamook State Forest, Dad teaching me to fish, a memory now tainted by the years I felt unseen. I thought about small moments, Mom framing my first drawing, now warped by time, wondering if they'd been told I'd moved on, or if they missed me as much as I sometimes missed them. I'd walk through Laurelhurst Park, the leaves turning gold, questioning if I'd ignored their pain back then, or if I'd been too consumed by my own to see theirs. Portland's heartbeat, food carts humming, locals laughing, challenged me to decide if I could rebuild with them, or if some bridges stayed burned. Now, As I sit here in my apartment, the Oregon night settling in with the soft patter of rain, the faint glow of Portland's skyline in the distance, I'm still wrestling with where to go from here. My life feels like it's finally mine, with a career I love and a future I'm building project by project. But there's an empty spot where my family should be, a gap I don't know how to fill. There are moments when I think about calling them, maybe inviting Noah to an art show, seeing if there's still a chance to know him as a brother, not a rival. Then there's the part of me that wants to keep this independence pure, to focus on growing my craft and my confidence, without the weight of past rejection dragging me back. So, I'm turning to you, my listeners, because I'm at a crossroads and I can't see the right path on my own. Do I reach out to my parents and Noah, try to rebuild something from the wreckage of all that hurt, and risk feeling invisible again? Or do I keep my distance, protect this life I've fought to create, and accept that sometimes loving yourself means walking away, even if it aches? I've spent so long learning to value myself, trying to fill the void they left, but I don't know if I've got the strength to bridge this gap, or if I even should. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button if this story hit close to home, and subscribe if you want to follow how this all plays out. I'm reading every single piece of advice, because right now, I feel like I'm standing on the edge of something huge, and I don't know which way to step. Thanks for listening to my mess, for being here through the highs and lows of this painful journey. I'll catch you in the next video, hopefully with some answers, or at least a small step forward. Until then, take care, and let me know, what would you do if you were me?